Hello everyone, my name is Marcus Dell'Olio. Welcome back to my YouTube channel in front of the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tapestry behind me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are now on to what is this, 4? I believe week 4 of the marathon training program for my Coros watch. It's back in action. Now, once again, like I said, this is at the very beginning, I said that this was gonna kind of be a review of the training program, the watch itself, and myself, of how I'm feeling and everything like that. I will reiterate that until the last time that I did a training program with the Coros watch, I have never actually done a true training program for a marathon or any sort of run at all. I've always just kind of been like, well, let's see how far I can run today. And that has caused injury in the past. Now, the first time I set off to do this training, I did get injured as well. However, I would like to think it's not the training program's fault. I would like to think that. Might have been my footwear, might have been the way I was carrying myself. It might have been the fact that I was still drinking at that point. I don't drink anymore. I'm enlightened. If you still drink out there, I'm better than you. And I know it. My chaps are a little chafed right now. And that's fine because I had a pretty long run today. I would actually consider this one a long run because it was over 10 miles. Not by very much, but it was over 10 miles. So that I can be thankful for, I think. Going into the whole watch thing, I got another firmware update. And that seems to actually have solved the battery issue. So good on you, Coros. That's fantastic. We got a battery issue solved. Now, previously, I was having the issue, and you guys are going to see in that video, that I was having the issue of no battery life. I wanted to say bad battery life, but no battery life. It went from being able to keep up and stay alive for almost 2 weeks, even while running, to where I needed to charge it twice a week. The last time I charged it was at the very beginning of this week, and it is currently at 54%. So we're still working. We're still hanging in there. Battery life is still a little bit crappier than it used to be, but it is better, I think. All right. I will reiterate my hatred for proprietary chargers. I hate the charger on this thing. It's open, first and foremost. I'm just reiterating the same problems I had. It's open, first and foremost. Second off, if my cord breaks, where am I going to go to get a replacement cord? Oh, right. Coros, I see what you did there, but at the end of the day, why don't we all just migrate to USB-C? Why don't we do that? That would be so good. It would be so powerful. It would be awesome. This week was pretty good as far as running goes. September the 30th, 2025. Picture it like it was just yesterday. It was a Tuesday. Mild in temperatures. I've gotten really, really good at actually getting out and running when I need to run, even though now we are down to one vehicle. So this has become a little bit more of a chore. However, I will figure it out. Like I said, this one was logged at 4:19 a.m. Now, what was it? It was a 4.35 distance in miles. What would that be in kilometers? Put that up there, Jamie. Just kidding. I'm probably not going to put that up there. I believe that's around 6 kilometers, if I'm remembering correctly. However, it was okay. Clearly, I am going a lot faster than I previously would have if I had my watch on. I had an average pace of 9:28, and that felt very slow to me as well. I'm not trying to be Mr. Speedy Gonzalez. I'm not trying to be Sonic as the Hedgehog. I am just trying my absolute best to not feel like I'm walking. And that was the pace where it felt like I was going slow, but I wasn't walking. Does that make sense to any runners out there? I really appreciated that pace. And honestly, if Coros told me to keep that pace, I would do it with a smile upon my face. But that was day 13. And that's what I call lucky number 13, because that is actually my lucky number. If you guys did not know that, that is my lucky number. Now, you'll also see that I had written on there that the watch was still dead. It's because I could not find the charger for it, and I will not find it until like 2 days afterwards. So I believe, October the 3rd, I think, is the first one that I actually have the watch back on. So right now, all you're going to get are Strava updates. Day 14, October the 1st, 2025 at 5:54 a.m. Now, this was actually a day that my wife was being picked up for work. So I had a little bit of extra free time, which was good because this was a 10-kilometer run plus 6 strides. Now, I didn't really realize until I got home after I did all the 6 strides and then I ran afterwards and yada, 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 that it actually meant 10K plus 6 strides, not 10K with 6 strides. That's my fault. I totally understand that. I lost out on maybe about a mile's worth of training. I'm not super upset about that. I did my 6 strides. My average pace, of course, came down. Unfortunately, I have no real deeper insight into that. That's a lie. Here's me to prove that being a lie. As you can tell, there were some spikes there near the end where I went up to, let's see here, about 5 minutes and 51 seconds per mile. I love 6 strides. I continue to say I love 6 strides because it feels like I'm actually running at that point. It doesn't feel like I'm walking with a purpose. All in all, though, pretty good morning. There was no rain, no sleet, no snow, no hail, and the mailman still delivered the mail. But it was also a very nice morning. I remember it being roughly around 70 degrees when I set off, and it was glorious. Yeah, I need to get better at filming during. And here we go. Watch my pace take a nosedive. Day 15, the watch is alive again. This was only a 5-kilometer run at 9 minutes and 50 seconds for the average pace. Oh my gosh. Like that, okay. I feel like even if I set it to a harder difficulty, the speed would not be where it needs to be, because this speed is only about 5 seconds faster than what it was on the easy difficulty, if you remember my gripes from that one. So I really don't feel like that's... I don't think it's going to help, which is very unfortunate. I know you want to be slower when you do your distance runs, and I know that because I've run several marathons. I understand that. However, I don't know if I've ever been this slow in the past for my marathons. So, fact check. See my average pace. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's totally fine. Now, day 16. That was yesterday at 6:55 a.m. That got me off a little bit later than what I usually do. 6K easy plus 6 strides. That's why I went off a little bit later. Here's all the data on that. That was not a half bad run, and I'm getting really, really good at figuring out exactly how far away landmarks are from me so that I'm going to be able to run a little bit more confidently as well. I feel a big part of this is actually figuring out if you are confident or not in your surroundings. Now, I've lived here for about 3 years now. However, was it about 3 years? Yeah, it's been about 3 years. However, I don't really see my surroundings that much. And we all go about our days like that, where we just kind of, okay, we got to drive to work, we got to drive home, we got to drive over to the gas station, we got to drive to the grocery store, we got to do this, we got to do that. Totally understandable. Running it, bicycling it, whatever you're doing to actually get out and touch some grass, you smelly nerd, will help you out a lot as far as figuring out exactly where everything is. And this is really helping me out because as you can tell, well, I don't know if you guys can tell, my routes have become quite stagnant in the fact that I'm like, okay, I know that this store is exactly this far from my house, so if I run there and back several times, that's how many kilometers, how many miles that I've done. That's how my brain works. So I'm assuming I'm not the only one to do that. And finally, the big one, day 17. Now, this is 10.68 mile, a long run, finally, at 9:56 per mile. Now, that was the average pace. Now, once again, we're getting a little bit more into it. I felt today that the pace I was going was pretty good for that distance because I kept speeding. Uh-oh, my watch kept yelling at me. I don't know if you guys can tell in the stats bar there, but my watch kept yelling at me, and I would always try to slow down. And one thing that I've actually figured out is that I can have a full-blown conversation while I'm running at this pace. If this does not show you how slow this legitimately is, I don't know what will. How do I know I can have a full-blown conversation at this pace? It's because I found a new book. Now, we're back into book review real quick. Learn Japanese with Paul Noble. Complete course. In this book, you're not really listening to the book. You're listening, but you're actually reading aloud as well throughout the entire time. So far today, I went over a bunch of things like how do you say I went to Tokyo? How do you say I want to go to Tokyo? How do you say, Paul and I, we went out to the restaurant, ate some sushi, and had a beer. How do you say that, right? So that's what I've been doing. And what was crazy to me was I was not getting winded while I was doing that. So maybe this is a killer cardio thing to where now I am Superman. I can never be winded for anything. And I kind of feel that way because once I get into like the 6 strides and stuff like that, and once I eventually get to the fartlek run as well, or runs, I should say, when I'm doing 6 strides right now, I don't feel winded anymore when I do them, which is bueno. It's perfect. So maybe this whole running slow thing has a thing with it. Now, other books that I've read. We're going into book review before I let you guys in on my picture that I took on the run today of myself. Keeping you on the edge of your seat for this one. I read the other day, finished Extreme Ownership by the guy that talks like this, Jocko Willink, and Leif Babin. Awful first name. I'm sorry, dude. It's okay. It's all right. If you've ever been in the military and been a non-commissioned officer, I can't speak on the commissioned officer thing because I've been to a lot more colleges than most people, 5, but how many have I graduated? 0. That's it. Haven't graduated in any of them. So I wouldn't know about the commissioned officer path. But if you take, your BLC, your DLCs, all the rest of that fun stuff, you know what this book says. That's it. Now, do you take it to heart is the next question. Because when I was learning how to be a sergeant, I took it to heart because I thought I was going to be a career man in the military. Look how well that turned out. Thanks for kicking me out, guys, over the whole flu shot thing. Anyways, I'm not bitter. Don't worry about it. I also finished the Ultra Mindset by Travis Macy. That was pretty good. I actually quite enjoyed that. Book review on the on Extreme Ownership. I give it like a 3 bald heads out of 6. It was all right. It was okay. I really like Leif Babin's voice. That's about it. That's all I really got to say. I don't really take a lot of what Navy SEALs, say with 100% certainty or worshiping the ground upon which they tread. It's not because I'm jealous or anything. It's just because I know the kind of person that goes towards SEALs. And as we found out with David Goggins, they've usually got a lot of skeletons in their closet, and they're usually not the best human beings to just hang out with, grab a beer with, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need those types of people, especially in our armed forces. But I'm not going to, go around kissing their butts all the time. Ultra Mindset, very good. Quite enjoyed that. You're basically just listening to an older guy talk about his experience in ultra marathon running, and that's something I want to get into, so it's something that very interested me. If it interests you, I would highly recommend listening to this as well. He's a cool guy. Sounds like a really cool guy. I need to find some more media with him in it. I give that 3 trekking poles out of 3. It was a really great thing. Aside from that, I did finish both of David Goggins' books as well. The first one was Can't Hurt Me. If you are looking to reinstill a drive inside of you and be pumped about absolutely everything, that's a great book. I really like to listen to him speak, and I like the way that his books have been set out on Audible. It is a podcast. That's it. You're listening to a podcast that is very well written because it's been written in a book format first, and then 2 guys talk about it. What more could you ask for? Like I said, not going to worship the ground he stands on because he's what seems to be a deadbeat dad. And I think he's kind of owning it, which is probably the best case scenario in that situation, which totally fine. I also finished Never Finished, and I will tell you right now, 5 boats out of 8 on Can't Hurt Me. It's very, very good, but if you don't like listening to a couple of dudes talk for a very long time, probably not for you. Never Finished, 2 boats out of 8. It really was not good. Massive step down in quality from the original one, and it just seemed like it was phoned in from both parties, and it seemed like let's shovel this out let's strike while the iron's hot, which I totally get. But if you're going to put out more subpar products, I don't know. Probably not going to get the next one if he comes out with another one, although I have a bunch of free credits on Audible, so maybe. We'll have to see. Then it went to Cameron Hayes, Undeniable. And that was all right, but I could definitely tell it was written by a hunter. And that's nothing against hunters, because I like hunting, I like fishing, I like doing all that stuff. But I could definitely tell it wasn't really run by the publisher too much. And the reason for that is because it either goes on and on and on and on and on about things that may or may not matter, or it turns into from one topic to the next, which is someone who's got ADHD. I found it relatively easy to follow, but other people might not. So I give that 5 arrows out of 7 bows. It was pretty good. Can't deny that it was undeniably all right. It was okay. I might as well get into it. So I have issues. And one of those issues are my nipples. Would you guys like to see a picture? Too bad. Here it is. Oh yeah. That's me. You might be wondering how I got in this situation. I can't figure out how to stop my nipples from chafing. I have tried Vaseline. I have ruined a bunch of shirts. I don't know what else there is to do. I know for a fact that if I were to put Band-Aids there, they are going to come off within about 6 minutes because it is so wet down here. I am sweating my little tuchus off every 5 seconds when I go outside. And I'm not complaining about it entirely because where I grew up, we got 6 feet of snow in the span of a week 1 year. I'm not doing that again. I don't ever want to do that again. However, I'm sweaty. I am wondering if I am just going to have to bite the bullet and run shirtless at this point. And then what am I going to do in the wintertime? I know it dries out a lot, but I still sweat a lot regardless. I'm a very sweaty individual. So I am at an impasse. If you have any help whatsoever to save my poor bloody nipples, please let me know. Because this is not fun. This sweatshirt is very soft and it's very lovely on my poor little chafed nipples. But it's getting real tired. Like, can I cut them off? That's another thing. Can I surgically remove them with a soldering iron? Because I don't have the kind of money to go in and get aesthetic. I could be like a Ken doll. That'd be kind of cool, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. And then I could get that area tattooed as well, because there's a whole weird thing about tattooing nipples. Anyways, this is a weird tangent. Sorry, guys. I was just dogging on Cameron Hayes for going off on weird tangents in his book. But this isn't a book. This is an unscripted, unfiltered look inside of my life and the Coros running thing. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below. I'm kind of on a cigarette kick right now, so if you know the favorite cigarette of Leif Babin, Jocko Willink, and David Goggins, leave them down below. Honestly, if I were going to be a betting man, I'm thinking Leif Babin is American Spirit Blues. I'm thinking Jocko Willink is a black of some sort. Maybe Marlboro, maybe not. Or bottom of the barrel. He's got the money, but he wants to suffer, right? Maybe Lucky Strike, maybe Pall Mall, something like that. But something super high in tar and super, super cheap. Not because he's cheap, but just because he wants to suffer more. And then David Goggins would probably be more of maybe clove cigarette. I don't know why that popped into my brain. But maybe something like that. Or he's going just straight up cowboy killer, no nonsense, Marlboro Red 100s. If you have any opinions about that, leave that down in the comments below. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.